You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It is Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. We will go back to the phones in just a couple of minutes. The numbers are toll-free, 1-866-405-8405. And don't forget, you can also ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. First, we're visiting with Dr. David Young. He is an ER physician in Connecticut, I believe. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I want you to tell me about Simon. This is actually the first time that I've heard the story, and I'm sure there are many, many listeners. What happened? And Simon's a mixed breed dog of yours, is that correct?
That is correct. We rescued Simon actually in 2011 after Hurricane Irene here in Connecticut. He was found abandoned. We had him for 7 years, and never left our property without us. My wife and I were away. We have a dog sitter who had known Simon for years, in the yard playing with him with a ball in the backyard. Next door neighbor, teenager, came through a wire fence. We have a wooden fence and a wire fence enclosing the property. He cut the fence to gain access to the property, apparently to retrieve his ball rather than ask for the ball back. It was a lacrosse ball.
He cut the fence to go get his lacrosse ball. Is that what you're saying? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And so he came through the fence with his lacrosse stick and startled both Simon and the sitter. All of a sudden she noticed some strange person in the middle of the backyard. We have a big yard. Simon kind of went after him and warned him with a nip to the shoe. The kid raised his lacrosse stick, and Simon then bit him in the thigh, and the kid ran away back, through the fence where he came in, and Simon retreated. And so, this sort of thing happens. Dogs bite sometimes, and they protect their property. The fact is the kid was trespassing, cut our fence, destroyed our property. And the family sought to seek revenge, and rather than come to, be reasonable, and most people are reasonable, especially neighbors, and say, well, kids make mistakes. I made my own mistakes. They chanted, kill the dog, kill the dog. The animal control officer came to Simon's defense and said Simon did no wrong. He was protecting his own property. You were trespassing. Several days went by. The town had a secret meeting that we were not invited to with a couple neighbors who had a chip on their shoulder and wanted Simon dead.
Had Simon had any previous offenses?
No, none. He's never been off our property. He had one incident where a neighbor up the street was walking his dog off leash who came onto our property, and Simon attacked that dog. It was a dog on dog, not a person. And, that person had since been threatening Simon with a stick, waving a stick and, at Simon and threatening him, and been caught several times doing that.
Where is Simon right now?
He's in the dog pound in the town of Guilford in Connecticut.
And how long has he been there?
A year and a half.
Are you kidding?
Wow. So I thought the animal control came to Simon's defense. How is it that?
Did.
Okay. How did?
She's young.
Okay.
She's inexperienced, and she wants a job. So, if you read the police report, the first 10 pages or so are her coming to Simon's defense. This private meeting, which is a violation of the open meeting law, occurred. Because there's no minutes. The towns can't do this, that is a violation. It's illegal. And they had this meeting, and at that meeting, that decision was made to kill Simon. My wife and I were informed by the chief of police that this was the case. He met with us and said, the decision has been made to put Simon down. You better not do anything. He basically threatened us. He said, you better not do anything about it. Don't make any trouble. I think he knew that, basically they capitulated to a couple noisy neighbors and thought it would just go away.
You said he's been there a year and a half?
A year and a half. Now, getting back to the animal control officer, she was basically ordered to change her position. And therefore, suddenly her position changed when, in fact, she's written and it's stated that she was defending Simon, saying he did no wrong, he was on his own property. And there's been multiple other dog bite cases, in every state, in every town, including Guilford, that, with dogs that were even unprovoked. In this case, Simon was provoked. But even unprovoked dogs, these dogs are not put down. And the difference is we have a neighbor who has political connections with an agenda.
Wow.
And,
I can say that
they're hoping for a new Porsche is basically what they're hoping for. They're hoping to cash in, but my home insurance denied them that.
We're going to have to take a quick break, David. Hold on. Dr. Debbie, I know you had a question. You're up next right here on Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
This is Glenn Close on Animal Radio, urging you to spay or neuter your pet.
Here is today's top automotive news story. I'm Nick Miles. It's the end of the year, and some of the best deals can be had on new cars, trucks, and SUVs. One of the cars I am most impressed with this year is the new Ford Edge ST. No manufacturer offers so much performance for so little money. 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 6 seconds and a top speed of 130 miles an hour. The turbo engine makes 335 horsepower, and this is the first ST model SUV ever produced by Ford. To see the Edge ST, go to ourautoexpert.com.
Do you think it's okay to drive stoned? The truth is your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Stop kidding yourself. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
It's Animal Radio. We are with ER Doc, Dr. David Young, and he's telling us about Simon. Simon is in the custody of the city in which he lives in Connecticut. Simon bit somebody, and for a year and a half has been on death row. But his dad, Dr. Young, is trying to change that situation. He is our guest, and he says his neighbors have a vendetta against him. They banded together to decide Simon's fate. And before the break, I know, Dr. Debbie, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I think this would be a big call out to, your community to change the way they're handling this. Because in the community I live in, there's actually animal advisory committees that serve to animal bite situations. And I served on one for a period of 3 years because it's never cut and dry. Have a one law with 0 strikes. So we have a 3-strike rule in our town where basically if it was something malicious and something violent, that would be a totally different thing. But they're individually evaluated, and then right. then you move forward. But when you have one person or even 2 people that serve to make this level of a decision, it's unfair. So that would be my call out.
Oh yeah. Well, there's been a lot of outcry over this, a lot of opposition to the town's handling of this. It's pretty obvious that this is pretty political and underhanded. However, in the state of Connecticut, there's 2 laws, 22-357, that protects you and your pets on their own property in the case of trespassing, damage to property, etc. Simon's clearly protected on that, and that is the basis upon which our insurance company denied their claim. But there's 22-358, and if you look it up, basically what that does, it gives the animal control officer wide latitude to make any decision they want for any reason they want. And so that almost negates any kind of 2 or 3 bite rule. Mm. So, and that's what they've done.
That sounds like a CYA kind of law.
A CYA kind of law? What is that?
Cover your...
cover your arse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when we questioned them, we went to a hearing with the Department of Agriculture And the Department of Agriculture, essentially, they're in the same camp. They just rubber stamp whatever the town already decided. And it's a kangaroo court. It's not a real court. And so what I'm currently trying to do is I filed a federal lawsuit trying to take it out of the Department of Agriculture into a real court. Because in a real court, this will never stand.
Yeah, and how long are you waiting for a date? Do you have a date? What are we waiting for now?
Well, right now we're waiting for a federal judge to rule.
Okay.
And
so Simon will
what the town keeps doing, what the Department of Agriculture doing, is they keep throwing up smoke and mirrors and delay tactics. And so while we wait another 6 months, our job is to raise hell, and make their life very difficult. I cannot, right now, it will be another thing. If Simon had problems, it bit other people, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to die on that hill, But it's just the principle of this, just the seediness of the whole thing.
Oh, it sounds like it has nothing. It has nothing to do with Simon, is what it sounds like.
So who's
it
paying
not.
for Simon's care right now?
Who's paying for it?
Yeah, are you paying for him to be boarded somewhere?
Well, the town is. I buy his food. I pay for his vet bills, and I buy all his food that we've always fed him. But
they're not charging you to hold him in a facility, a boarding.
I fully expect them to try to charge me.
Wow.
How often do you see him?
I see him a few times a week.
Is he being treated okay?
Oh yeah, and I think the animal control officer, I believe, is conflicted because I know she hangs out with him. She sees that he's not a threat. In fact, in the police report, he said, he's a friendly dog and he comes and plays and, he's not a threat. And he hangs out with her in there. So, but she's very, when I go there, I'm diplomatic. I don't raise any questions and, I don't think she's in a position she wants to be in defense of her, but she sees that he's not a dangerous dog, and but I think she's treated well there, which is a good thing.
Okay, doctor, keep us posted. Let us know what goes on.
Yeah, I think my only ask is anybody listening would be to write to the town of Guilford, the Board of Selectmen. If you look it up, it's right online because they need to hear from people. There's a petition with over 20,000 signatures on change.org, and there's a GoFundMe page, too, for Simon.
How much have you spent so far?
Probably about $25,000.
Gee.
Okay.
The town has spent about $40,000.
Wow. Okay, we'll put all those links over at animalradio.pet. Dr. David Young joining us, and we will check back with you, hopefully with good news.
All right, thank you for reaching out.
Take care of yourself. Okay, it is time for us to get out of here before it gets any more bloody and messy in here.